The photography world has been buzzing with speculation about Nikon's next potential release, the Nikon ZFR. If you're already familiar with the Nikon ZF, you'll know how Nikon successfully blended a retro-inspired design with the capabilities of a modern mirrorless camera. The combination of classic film-like styling with cutting-edge performance turned plenty of heads. But the big question now is, what's next? The rumored Nikon ZFR seems to be the logical successor, and if leaks and early chatter are to be believed, it could push Nikon's retro line to a whole new level. Enthusiasts and professionals alike are curious to see whether this upcoming model can stand toe-to-toe with industry leaders such as Sony and Canon, while carving out its own unique identity in the process. Early rumors point towards some very exciting possibilities. A 60-megapixel sensor, refinements in ergonomics, improved speed, and even potential high-end video features like 8K recording have all been mentioned. But are these claims realistic or just wishful thinking? With cameras like the Sony A7RV and Canon EOS R5 already dominating the high-resolution mirrorless space, the Nikon ZFR would need to offer something distinctive to make its mark. So where exactly does it fit in Nikon's broader lineup, and what kind of photographers will it appeal to? Let's break it all down. To understand what the ZFR might bring to the table, it's worth revisiting its predecessor, the Nikon ZF. That model was essentially Nikon's love letter to classic film cameras, giving shooters the tactile joy of physical dials and vintage-inspired styling, but with the advantages of a mirrorless digital system. It was embraced by photographers who appreciated nostalgia without wanting to give up modern conveniences. That being said, the ZF wasn't without its shortcomings. The grip, for instance, looked sleek but wasn't the most comfortable for long shoots. Many users ended up purchasing third-party grips just to make extended use more manageable. Speed was another limitation. The ZF maxed out at 10 frames per second, which fell short of the needs of action or wildlife photographers who rely heavily on burst shooting. While it performed well for portrait, street, and landscape work, it wasn't the most versatile option for those who wanted speed and ergonomics alongside retro charm. With the rumored Nikon ZFR, there's hope that Nikon will address these concerns. A stronger, redesigned grip, along with improvements in shooting speed, could make the new model more versatile while retaining that vintage-inspired look that made the ZF so appealing. The big question is, will Nikon actually make those changes? The headline rumor surrounding the Nikon ZFR is its possible 60-megapixel full-frame sensor. This would represent a major leap over the ZF and would place it directly into competition with heavy hitters like the Sony A7RV, which also offers a 60MP sensor, and Canon's EOS R5, which comes in slightly lower at 45MP but compensates with exceptional autofocus and video performance. A resolution bump to 60MP would be a strong selling point for photographers who prioritize detail, landscape, portrait, and commercial shooters in particular. However, the presence of high-resolution sensors is nothing new. Sony's A7R4, A7RV, and even Sigma's FPL have already tapped into this territory. So the real question becomes, what can Nikon do differently? Some whispers suggest the ZFR could push boundaries in dynamic range and color depth. There's even speculation that Nikon might attempt to introduce 16-bit RAW capture. This is typically reserved for medium-format cameras like Fujifilm's GFX series or Hasselblad's X2D, which are far larger and more expensive. If Nikon were to bring 16-bit recording to a full-frame body, it would be groundbreaking. Realistically, though, it's more likely that the ZFR will stick within the more common 12 to 14-bit range, still more than sufficient for the vast majority of photographers. When it comes to continuous shooting speed, it's unlikely that the Nikon ZFR will be a speed machine. Nikon's Z8 and Z9 are already designed to serve sports and action shooters who need blistering frame rates. The ZFR, by contrast, seems positioned for high-resolution still photographers who care more about detail than rapid-fire shooting. If Nikon maintains the 10 frames per second rate of the ZF, it would make sense within this positioning. For a camera that's more about delivering ultimate image quality than capturing the fastest action, 10 FPS is more than adequate. Those who require faster performance will still look to Nikon's flagship Z8 or Z9. But for portraitists, studio photographers, or landscape artists, the ZFR's speed would likely hit the sweet spot without compromising image quality. Another area of speculation revolves around video capabilities. With cameras like the Nikon Z8, Z9, and Canon R5 already offering 8K recording, it's natural to wonder whether Nikon will give the ZFR similar functionality. On paper, 8K recording would certainly strengthen its appeal to hybrid shooters who value flexibility in both stills and video. However, 8K comes with challenges. It requires significant storage space, powerful editing hardware, and careful thermal management within the camera body. The retro-inspired compact form factor of the ZFR could make heat dissipation a real challenge. That said, even if 8K isn't the most practical feature for everyday use, having it available would expand creative possibilities, whether for heavy cropping in post-production or for producing ultra-high-resolution video content. If Nikon can balance thermals and stability, the ZFR could become a more attractive option for content creators. One of the biggest draws of the ZF was its retro-inspired design, and the ZFR is expected to double down on this aesthetic. The challenge for Nikon will be maintaining that vintage charm while improving usability. The most obvious area for improvement is the grip. While the slim, stylish body of the ZF looked great, it wasn't comfortable to hold for long shoots. A subtle tweak in ergonomics could go a long way in making the ZFR more practical. Photographers also loved the tactile, physical dials on the ZF. They offered a direct, intuitive way to control key settings like ISO, shutter speed, and exposure compensation, evoking the feeling of shooting with a classic film camera. It's almost certain Nikon will carry this feature forward with the ZFR, as it's one of the hallmarks of the series. These little design touches set the retro-inspired Z series apart in a crowded market of high-tech mirrorless bodies. It's clear the Nikon ZFR isn't designed to replace Nikon's action-oriented models like the Z8 or Z9. Instead, it seems aimed at a different demographic: photographers who prioritize image quality, design, and shooting experience over speed. At the end of the day, the Nikon ZFR remains a mystery wrapped in rumors and speculation. What we do know is that Nikon appears to be targeting a specific audience: photographers who care deeply about image quality, design, and user experience rather than speed or experimental features. If the ZFR delivers on its rumored 60-megapixel sensor, improves ergonomics, retains its retro charm, and introduces solid video capabilities, Nikon could have something truly special on its hands. It won't be the right camera for sports shooters or anyone who needs blazing fast burst rates, but for those who want maximum detail, a timeless shooting experience, and the blend of classic and modern, the Nikon ZFR could be a real gem. In a market where many brands chase the latest technological gimmicks, Nikon's decision to double down on retro-inspired design feels refreshing. The ZFR may not be for everyone, but it doesn't have to be. Its strength lies in offering something distinct, a camera that's about capturing moments beautifully, not just quickly. And for many photography enthusiasts, that's exactly what makes it worth watching.